I have had people ask me, Andy, I noticed that you are very good at having deep conversations with people. There have been instances where I meet somebody, it's the first time we're meeting, and then we start talking about some really, really, really deep shit. Like, we're talking like, I don't want to use the T word because people are, some people are afraid of the T word. I'm talking about TRWUAMA. But we get to that point. We get to talking about childhood trauma, and they're like, how do you do this? Because I've been asked this question because the people that have asked me this question want to get better at creating an emotional connection with people, and I've been trying to figure out how to teach people this, I guess you could say, and almost how to like knowledge transfer. And I came across this concept, this psychology concept called self-disclosure theory. There's a Wikipedia article on it. It's called, wait, hold on. It's called self-disclosure theory, but the other name for it is social penetration theory. And I'm just gonna put this on so that I can show you with both hands. Self-disclosure. Self-disclosure is a process of communication by which one person reveals information about themselves to another. It also is called social penetration theory sometimes. I will link that in the description if you want to go through and read it. But the concept, high level, is really, really simple. If you want to do this, if you want to have more deep conversations, if you enjoy deep conversations, or if you want to learn to better emotionally connect with people, this is how you do it. Self-disclosure theory. So what is self-disclosure theory? What does it look like? And I'll give you some examples from my own personal life to illustrate this point. This is what I want to talk about in the video. Okay, we'll get into it. So at the end of the day, like you saw the definition, it's a pretty simple concept. You just reveal stuff about yourself. That's it. Now there's nuance to this, as with everything relationship related. There's a lot of details, nuance, context matters. So I'll do my best to try to deconstruct that in this so that you can actually go out and start doing this and start using this concept. If you want to create an emotional connection with someone, you have to find something that both of you guys can relate to. The concept behind self-disclosure theory is when you disclose things about yourself and when you tell stories and experiences from your own life, that increases the likelihood of this happening. If you think about it, when people share intimate things about themselves, right? If we go down, like, if there's like a leveling system and down here is like super deep and up here is like, what's your favorite color? Like a question down here would be like, tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your childhood and the relationship you have with your parents, right? I think that would be like a pretty spicy question to ask someone if you've just met them and you barely know them, like you've barely said anything to them and they don't really get a sense of your vibe and you haven't really got a sense of their vibe. But how I've been able to do this is I've gotten a lot more comfortable about just talking about things, about me. And my theory for why this works is because it shows a degree of confidence and self-acceptance that is attractive to people. And not only is it attractive, but it also makes them feel safe in opening up as well. That's the entire point of the theory, is vulnerability incites vulnerability. So if you are sharing vulnerable things about yourself, there's a good chance the other person will also share things about them too. Now, here's the caveat to this. All of this sounds very like transactional to some degree, right? It's like, oh, if I reveal things about myself, then I can get the other person to reveal things about themselves. It almost sounds a bit like emotionally manipulative, but if you reveal things about yourself and it's clear that you're forcing it, that you're not really comfortable talking about it, that there's still shame around it, that, you know, all this stuff, it's not clean. That's the best way I can describe it. It's not clean, it's not genuine, it's not pure. Other people are going to pick up on that and you're probably not going to get the response that you want. So if you want to have more deeper conversations with people and get better at creating emotional connections with people, then really learn to accept yourself. And that sounds super general. So like, what does that mean? I'm sure there are some stories that you would feel comfortable sharing to people, and there are some stories that you would feel comfortable not sharing to some people. I would ask you, what are some stories that you feel a bit of discomfort sharing with people, and why? Can you try sharing that with a certain select number of people that you trust a lot, close friends, people that you're relatively close to and you trust and you feel okay opening up to? How did that turn out? And if that turned out great, you will build more comfort in sharing those stories, and you will also build more comfort in yourself. And then you start sharing more and sharing more and sharing more. And then that's how you slowly build this skill, because at the end of the day, it just all comes down to skills of sharing things about yourself. You apply self-disclosure theory, and there's a pretty good chance the other person is going to share things about themselves as well. So I think that's how I've learned how to do this in just like an overall big nutshell. And I'll give you an example to really drive the point home. I shot a podcast episode with a friend, and we talked about attachment styles, right? I made another video about this. You can search my my username and the word attachment styles if you want to see it, or I'll link it down in the description below. But what happened was, in the podcast, she was very comfortable talking about her attachment style, but I was not comfortable talking about my attachment style. So what I did was I edited out the part where I talked about my attachment style in the video. So for those of you that don't know and didn't see my previous video, I have an anxious attachment style. I actually redid the test recently, and I think I've moved to secure. I don't 100% believe that, but for sake of this video, at the time, I was an anxious attachment style when we shot the podcast. And the reason I edited it out was because I was afraid that if other people knew this, they could use this to their advantage and somewhat hurt me. All right. So I was afraid to reveal information about myself and reveal the stories that I have associated to my anxious attachment style. A lot of dating stories, by the way, related to that, because I didn't want to show people this part of who I was, because it was very vulnerable for me to share, and I was afraid that other people would use it against me. I'm comfortable talking about it now, openly, to people. In fact, one of my favorite questions to ask people to get to know who they are is what their attachment style is. And then we make it like a fun guessing game, and I kind of try to guess what their attachment style is, and they try to guess what my attachment style is. And sometimes like I ask like, oh, if you had one question to ask me before you guess my attachment style, what would it be? And then it becomes like a fun little game. And so I'm like, how did I get to that point? I got to that point by doing exactly what I just told you. I got to that point because I shared the attachment style stuff with people that I really trusted, right? So the friend that I did the podcast with, I really trusted her, and we talked about attachment styles. And then I talked to more people about attachment styles that were slightly outside of the people that I really trusted. And then once I was okay with that, and once I got a positive response from those group of people, then I talked to more people about it and more people about it. And then as I talk to more and more people about this stuff, and as I start opening up the range of people I'm comfortable with talking to about this stuff, other people are comfortable talking to me as well. And attachment styles, listen, if you know what attachment styles are, no one just randomly knows what attachment styles are. And unless you're like just like into psychology or something, if you know what attachment styles are, there's a pretty good chance you've had a good reason to look up what attachment styles are. And when you get to that point, it's either because you've been in a relationship and it hasn't really been working that well, either because of your partner or because of something on your end. And so you've had to look into why, and you've come across this term, attachment styles. Or you're just on TikTok. I don't know. Point I'm trying to make is, if I talk to somebody and they know what attachment styles are, they're open to sharing it because I'm open to sharing it. And sometimes when I share it, they don't want to share it, and that's okay, right? We respect that, and I just move on to the next conversation topic. But a part of self-disclosure theory and social penetration theory is the times that I've shared that and the times that other people know what attachment styles are and share back. Most of the time, I don't think as of making this, as of this second, I cannot think of an instance where me talking about this, the other person has not really talked about their attachment style and their stories. And so if we're going to talk about attachment styles, we're going to talk about relationships, there's a pretty good chance we're going to talk about dating. And so you can see how this one thing that I've shared about myself has led to other topics that are a lot deeper and allow a sense of relatability, because if we're going to start talking about relationships, dating, breakups, relationship struggles, conflict, and the pain associated with those things, then there's a lot of things that we can relate on. I can guarantee you there's a lot of fucking things we can relate on in all those things I just listed. So that's my story for how I've learned and applied this. And I was trying to find words to try to describe all of this. And this concept of self-disclosure and social penetration theory was the closest thing that I could find to words on how to do this. I will also give another caveat here at the end of the video. I would also ask why you're looking to learn this, like how to connect with people and how to have deep conversations. I really enjoy deep conversations, but in the past, what I noticed within myself and with other people that were really into this space is I wanted to get really deep really quickly with people because I wanted to get to the good stuff. I was like, I don't want to fucking talk about this boring, shallow shit. But a lot of people are not comfortable with that. And I noticed that there were some interactions where I pushed for that too quickly, right? It's kind of like if we talk about depth on a scale from level 1 to level 10, it's kind of like I went from level 2 to like 9. It's like, that's quite a big jump. And I noticed that a lot of people are less receptive to that. And I wanted to push for that because A, it was something I enjoyed talking about. B, I just like understanding people. But C, I didn't really have a lot of people in my close circle to talk to a lot of these things about. So I was almost too eager and jumped too quickly from level like 2 to 9. And I've noticed that when I go from level 2 to like 4 to 6 to whatever, I get a better response. So that's the caveat that I have. I noticed that a lot of people into this stuff, into personal development, they try to get too deep too quickly, and then that can scare some people off. That's what I'm trying to say, in like, if I was just to be really honest with you. That's it for this video. Go talk to people, go try this out, start small, get comfortable with who you are, own your shit and your own stories. And if you do that first, you will notice that the ability to share this stuff with people comes a lot more naturally. And if you're able to do that, that will incite self-disclosure in other people and will allow you to have deeper and more emotionally connecting conversations. I hope this helped. Let me know if it did. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, I hope you learned something. Peace.